They say football in Ghana has stopped, or has it? We'll be finding out what the latest is with the state of football in the country, with the liaison team that was selected by FIFA doing its job. The spokesperson will be in the studio with us. Also, we'll be asking the question about how Ghana's club football will persist after October. October, because the Confederation of African Football have set that time as when countries should give their representatives so that they can play in the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup. We understand, however, that Ghana is not part of that list. Why is that so? We'll be answering this question and more here with myself and Benedict Owusu, and joining us in studio, Dan Kweku Yeboah. It's the Joy Sports Track.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Today we went ex-party. The appropriate rule that actually we invoked was Order 25 of the Civil Procedure Rules. And we looked specifically at 1.9, where it gives the opportunity to the court in extremely urgent situations to grant interim orders for 10 days. Now, the order after 10 days, if we do not go back to the court after 10 days, it lapses. So what it means, therefore, is that we will now come with the same application, with the same ingredients and everything, but we will serve this time the GFA, and they will have the right to be heard. And then they will file their affidavit in opposition, they will file their statement of case, and thereafter the case will be determined on its merit based on the application for interlocutory injunction at that stage.
What is my name?
Anas and Staga IT were in the school to meet the students and teachers for the first time to encourage them on the path chosen.
So that was a report from Inshira FM when Anas visited Kumasi. It's because of his work that we are here. And welcome to the Joy Sports Track on this day, a week and one more after the World Cup. We are going back to default settings. There's no global football to take our attention from our own local football. My name is Gary Al Smith, and we'll be looking at the way forward for our local game. In studio with me, Dan Kweku Yeboah. Hello, Dan.
Hi, bro.
Dan Kweku Yeboah. That's the man.
Gary Al Smith.
Are you officially the spokesperson for the liaison team?
Yes,
Tell us.
Bro. I am.
You are the spokesperson,
Yes,
so you can give us the answers we need.
Partly yes, partly no.
Partly yes, partly no. The biggest overarching question is where Ghana football will be going. Albert Komi also is the CEO of Aduana Stars. He's joining us on the line as the team representing Ghana and flying the flag of Ghana in African club competitions. He can bring some perspective into our local discussions. Albert, thank you for joining us on the line.
You're welcome.
Yes, so this is the Joy Sports Track. At 17 minutes after 1, Benedict Owusu Dankwa is here, my colleague on the desk, and he will set the tone for us. Benedict, you are holding a letter. What letter is it, and give us an idea of why it has come from the Confederation of African Football?
Well, as you've just noted, it's a letter from the Confederation of African Football, that's CAF, signed by Anthony Bafo, Deputy General Secretary for Football and Development, and the subject of the letter is engagement of CAF interclubs competition for the transitional season of 2018-2019. Obviously, you understand transitional, so no need to explain that. And so what it states clearly is that they would just like to inform that the engagement for CAF interclubs competitions for the transitional season of 2018-19 is now open on the CAF CMS website as of today, and kindly be reminded that the deadline to receive the applications of engagement is the 15th of October 2018. So what it means is that if you want to participate in both the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup, you are to confirm your participation
through the CAF CMS.
Exactly, before 15th of October 2018. And also they've listed countries in the letter, 12 countries, and these are countries that are they've been ranked and they've been allowed to engage 2 clubs in both the Champions League and the Confederation Cup. So what it means is that Tunisia will have 2 teams in Champions League, Confederation Cup, Egypt as well, DR Congo, and then Morocco, Algeria, South Africa, Sudan, Zambia, Libya, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Mozambique. There is no Ghana in. Obviously, you understand why there is no Ghana
because Ghana's
fall within the first 12.
Yes,
exactly,
and that is because our clubs have not been doing well in recent years.
Times,
All right, so let me bring in Albert Comey here so that we get into the discussion. Your team is currently taking part in one of CAF's flagship competitions, and we've been asked, as we see from this letter, not Ghana is not part, but African clubs or football associations have been asked to present their representatives by the 15th of October. My direct question to you is that, to what extent does the fact that we are not playing the Ghana Premier League, how would it affect this when it is time for us to put our representative, even if it's one, in the Champions League or CAF Confederations Cup? Albert Comey.
Yeah, thank you. Well, looking at the situation now, I would say that it will be very good for us to distance ourselves from it and consider that come next year, if by which time the league might have started. Why am I saying that? Because even if you're not playing any competition, it affects the team performance negatively, and it will not allow the teams to progress to the league zone. And you know what that means? You are going to incur a lot of debt.
Yes.
And which I would not like clubs to go, because when we played Vital, though we won, what we did good was to manage the game, not get the goals early and manage the situation. We could see that in terms of match fitness, they were better than us.
Yeah.
Now, if the league were to be ongoing, then it means that we could have done better than we did. That experience has taught me that it should not be ideal for us to force ourselves into African competition. Though I must admit that it would have been good for us to go and maybe get into the league zone so that we can regain our lost points and then be able to get more representative. But as it is now, we have to take our time and make sure that football resumes fully, and then we can take advantage of it.
The first of 2 questions that I'll ask in direct response to what you've said, Albert Comey, is that to what extent will a failure to present teams for the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup affect Ghana? Can we write a letter to CAF and say that, CAF, you know what is going on with us, so don't punish us for not presenting winners? Can we do that as a country?
Well, you can, but you see, those that are seeded for 2 reps in the Champions League are those that have amassed more points. So they will receive your letter and agree to it, but they cannot amass the point for us.
Sure.
I remember someone was saying that Diana going into the league and performing well would not affect that. I realize he has challenge when it comes to the understanding of it, because let's assume that we win the Confederation. We're going to get certain points.
Yes.
Next year, if we build upon it, then CAF will say, looking at the points that you built so far, then we must consider Ghana.
Yeah.
But if we don't do it next year, it means that we're not going to get any point, though there will not be any sanctions. But you see, looking at it in terms of our economics, I would prefer that we don't go and create more debt, because normally when you go to Africa, it used to be 2 weeks. It came 1 week and now it's 10 days. That 10 days and managing your league with it is not easy at all. You can realize where Adriana was lying. So we had 3 outstanding matches, which could have brought us, if we win, or can bring us to the top side of the table. But it was not easy at all. Fatigue, because when you come, I remember within around 1 week, they had wanted us to play 3 matches.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we have to protest and that kind of thing. So I would advise that we take our time. It can happen to any country. It has happened to us. So we need to take our time, make sure that we put our hearts together. When the league is ongoing and we get our representatives there, then we know that, yes, we can compete and compete well. Other than that, we shouldn't go and worry ourselves for mere participation.
Yeah. just please confirm this for me as well. We are told that this year the CAF competitions, the club competitions, will end somewhere at the end of November, and immediately they are starting the following season in December. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct. That's correct. They want to make sure at least
the calendar.
We get it the kickoff early, and for that matter, they've written to us already. They've made the clubs aware. That is why our league fixtures was very, very tight.
Yeah.
To make sure that latest by September end, we should be able to declare our champions.
Okay.
So now that we are not playing, in fact, even the first round, Adriana has 3 matches to go. So when are we going to finish that? And so it's impossible. That's why I've also heard another school of thought that those that were leading, we can let them go. Fine, if they want to. I will not have any difficulties with it. But my advice is that the challenges that we are facing now, I would not like any other clubs to go, because when you start from that, your entry into the league zone will be very difficult.
Yeah.
And for that matter, you incur a lot of debt.
All right. Thank you very much, Albert Coming. But before I let you go, still on this government issue and all the rebuilding or reforming process that we've all been going through, we understand that you've had an apology for recent comments you made regarding the input of government and the Ghana Football Association. Can you clarify that for us?
My brother, what the host asked me was that if I am not happy that they've bundled all of us as thieves,
yeah,
then why is it that one person goes to share vehicle and I refer to that? Then I said, if my statement might affect innocent ones, then I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't want to go back to those issues anymore. I've had people that I respected, they've spoken to me, and I have promised them that I don't want to talk about these issues.
All right.
I was a bit emotional because of my history that I have when it comes to these things. But it's a lesson well learned, and for me, we only pray that we get our football back, and we sanitize our football for everything. But I still stand by it that I do not believe in governmental influence.
Right. Thank you very much, Albert Coming. We really appreciate your time and your education this afternoon.
You're welcome.
So Albert Coming is the CEO of Adriana Stars and is still with us on the Joy Sports track. 26 minutes after 1. Gary L. Smith here, also joining me in studio. Benito Usidankwa, who read the statement from CAF, and the clarification has come from Albert Coming. But the man, who we really want to hear from is Dan Kwekwe, and he's in the studio with us. He's here in his capacity as the spokesperson for the liaison team put together by... So you are the spokesperson for the FIFA, yes, the FIFA, not the government one. No. So what happened?
That was an IMC, not a liaison team.
Good. So this is a liaison team. This is the one that has what's his name? Dr. Kofi Amwa as his chair. Yes.
He as a member.
Yes. All right. So based on what you've heard from Albert Coming, what do you have to say, considering the fact that Ghana's league club football might not have any representative in Africa next year because we don't have any football going right now to declare a winner of the Ghana Premier League or a runner-up?
Well, I think what you said is appreciable. We met the club owners and GACA, and some of them expressed similar sentiment. Others were saying that we should rush back and organize the league quickly. Others were of the opinion that if we should rush back, it means that we're going to be guided by the old system that most of them feel it is not right.
Yeah.
So let's take our time, reform, and come back.
Okay.
It is the reason why we officially notified GACA, wrote to GACA, that anybody who has opinions, suggestions, proposals, especially from the stakeholders, the club owners and the GACA executives, should channel them through GACA and let's have them so that we'll judge and see the way forward. Obviously, we all need our football back, but there is the need for us to make sure we come back better than before.
Yeah. Dan, for the purposes of those who have not followed or have lost track, because so much has gone on. Even from only the Anas angle, Anas alone fighting this battle for credibility, people muddying the waters and saying that the FA did not do anything, Kennedy Japan bringing his... Give us especially also because of the World Cup, people have lost a bit of interest. Even the media, admittedly, we have not carried this issue because there was focus on the World Cup. Give us an idea of what has happened since the airing of number 12, the meetings that have gone on, off the top of your head, and educate us on where we are.
Off the top of my head, I think the first step government took was to put together the IMC.
Sure. The interim
management committee.
Sure.
That included Eva Autry, Abedi Pele, Dr. Kofi Amoah, myself as a spokesperson, and others. I can't remember all the names of
George Jeffrey.
No, George was not part of it. I think there were 5.
Kujo
Fiano.
Yes.
Yeah. And Reverend Oseko Kukuya was not part of it.
No, there was an initial one.
No, that was it. Government put together.
There was an initial one from the Football Association.
From the Football Association, yes. I remember one, the 5-member committee.
The 5-member committee.
That had Kukuya.
Okay.
So that was the first one.
That was the first one. Then government came with the IMC.
The IMC, yes.
But they had to engage FIFA because obviously government did not want to take an entrenched stand for our football to suffer. So they engaged FIFA, and FIFA was clear that yes, they don't want to condone corruption. They have had privy to the number 12. They sent a delegation to come and watch it here in Accra. So they know what has transpired. But obviously,
so FIFA sent a delegation.
Oh yes, they did.
Okay.
Yes, but
I remember I reported that, but yes, we didn't see them.
Yeah, they were.
But they were here.
Yeah, they were here.
Hey.
Yes. And,
okay.
They said they appreciate the situation that government wants to uproot corruption from our football, but they don't want a situation where government will change and another government will come and say that okay, I also have an IMC.
Sure.
Will disrupt our football.
Sure.
So government should rather liaise with them to put together a team, and that's how come government said okay, FIFA go ahead, and then FIFA came up with Dr. Kofi Amoah and Otia Kenteng as members of the liaison team, and I was eventually appointed as a spokesperson.
So Dr. Kofi Amoah and Otia Kenteng, what are the key thing about all these committees that were set, they didn't start working, and now it has come to this team? What are the terms of reference? What are they supposed to do?
Well, if you read the letter signed by the FIFA General Secretary,
sure.
I think they were specific. They were saying that immediately Ghana has an assignment. We have some assignment with respect to our national team.
Sure.
The Black Starlet, the Princesses, and the Satellites. So we should see to it that Ghana participate in those events.
Yeah.
And that was our first point of call. That's how come we invited the GACA executives and the club owners. We spoke to them about the way forward and gave them invitation letters for the various players who wanted at the national team camp in Pram Pram. So that was our first meeting in Alisa. Almost everybody who matters in Ghana football was there. Togbe Afede and the chief executive officer of Accra to Folk was there. Randy Abe, Fred Papu, Alaji Grunsa, Kujo Fiano, and a host of others. We had lengthy discussion. In fact, some were in conformity with our stance as a liaison team.
Sure.
Others were divergent, but obviously we expect those things. But eventually we all concluded that Ghana football must be the winner. So we should all cooperate and bring our football back. So after the meeting, we're looking forward to getting suggestions from them, but they were not forthcoming.
That's from GACA?
Yes, from GACA and the club owners.
Yeah.
So we officially wrote to them that we expect some input from them as to the way forward, with particular reference to the 2017-2018 calendar, and then some of the proposals, suggestions, and opinions for the reforms that have been proposed. And we're still looking forward to hearing from them. We gave them the letter on the 13th of July, and they also forwarded it to members, and gave the members a deadline of today. I spoke to Kujo Fiano on my way to the studio, and he said he has received some proposals. So I'm sure by close of week would get access to what
GACA wants to do. So give us a gist. What do you expect from GACA? You want them to tell you that, for example, and this is just an example. Okay. Because of the way the situation are going, these are extraordinary times, and so we need extraordinary measures such as an elite league or a zonal league, north and south, something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
We didn't want to think for them.
Sure.
We felt that they are the major stakeholders.
No, they are the football people.
Sure. We need to accord them. We need to accord them the needed respect. That's how come we're seeking their opinion. We have our own proposals somewhere, though, but we wanted to get their side of the way forward before we put ours across, and then we juxtapose the two and see how to move on.
So that's from the league side. What about the national team? You have said that one of the key reasons why you set up, or FIFA suggested this liaison team, was to ensure a smooth transition of our national teams from the where we are to them playing in the tournament that they have suffered to qualify for. So under 20 women,
immediately
under 17 boys, and the under 23 men.
Exactly. No, Princesses, Satellite, and Starlet.
Princesses, that's under 20 women.
Yeah, under 17 men.
And boys,
under 20 women.
Under okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, under 20 men, under 17 men, under 20 women.
Yes, for their various competitions.
Exactly. Immediately after meeting the club owners and GACA executive, they cooperated, and the next day the players reported for camping
in Pram Pram.
Sure. So they've been there for weeks now. We're hoping that by close of week we'll get the visas for the Princesses to travel to Spain to continue preparations, and then move on to France to commence the competition proper. And the other plan is that immediately the Princesses leave for Spain. Would let the Queens also
come
move
to
camp exactly in preparation for the African Women's Championship that Ghana is supposed to host in November.
That's another issue, Dan. Are we going to host it?
Yes, I would say yes, because for now we haven't had anything that goes to suggest that we're going to lose it, even though the CAF has indicated that South Africa is on standby.
Oh, wow.
But we have written to them to come back for inspection, so we're looking forward to hearing from them. We did so last week through the ministry, and it is likely we might change the venues. Originally we proposed Accra and Cape Coast, but it is likely we might use Kumasi and Tamale, but pending approval from the inspection team that we are expecting. So we're hoping and praying that Ghana will be able to host that tournament.
The under 20. So apart from the ones you have mentioned, under 20 women who have their World Cup in France, I mean, which is just a few days away. And for listeners, Ghana will be playing the opening game with France in that World Cup. So we have to leave as soon as possible. We have to leave as soon as possible. The under 17 women also have their World Cup. That is in November in Uruguay. In Uruguay. So because this is far away, I'm sure we'll wait at that.
Sure.
All right, and then South Africa is on standby to host there, but we hope that will not happen.
I will hope it wouldn't happen, because Tamale Stadium is intact, Kumasi is intact in terms of training facilities. Pajo that we used for the 2008 is still good. Tamale has a good training pitch as well. Hotels are available, so I'm sure they'll give us the approval. And the good thing is that in terms of transportation, there's a flight from Kumasi to Tamale.
Sure.
So it'll be pretty easier than the other venues.
Alternatives. Yeah. Now, in terms of the politics, we from the very beginning, I mean, we've not been able to take out politics from this football equation, right from the airing of the video to everything that has gone on in between then. How has it bothered the operation of the liaison team? Because there are so many people pulling. It's like a tug of football, you know. How has it bothered the give me the general answer, then I'll come to specifics.
When we met the club owners and GACA, there were some political comments by some club executives, but Dr. Amwa made them understand that we are not in for politics. Ours is to ensure that Ghana football is revived. So let's leave the court issues to the Attorney General and Tidosori and those people and look at our football. Others raised issues about mandate and the fact that government is taking steps to dissolve the FA.
That's what I was going to ask.
What have you? But the answer was that, first of all, FIFA has not banned football activities in this country. And going forward, we want to separate our league from the FA. And that is where we have started from. Some are arguing that why are we dealing with GACA? We're dealing with GACA because GACA is not in court legally. GACA as an entity is not in court. So we want to push the agenda where at the reformation stage, that idea of making the PLB a subcommittee of the FA will be completely eradicated.
Yeah, so it will operate as an entity on its own.
Exactly, and that is where we are heading towards.
Okay.
Because you and I remember that even before Nyantechi became the FA president, there was a delegation that went to South Africa.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was to
go. One went to Germany.
Exactly, to understudy the SPL and what have you. And the agenda was to separate the league from the FA. But eventually, it didn't see the light of day for whatever reason. We can't tell.
Okay. Now, if today the government, through we know the Attorney General angle is still, the wheels are still grinding. So if today there's a court ruling that says that they have completed the processes of liquidating and dissolving the Ghana Football Association, what is going to happen?
Well, it has implications from the football perspective, because once you dissolve the federation, you cease to be a member of FIFA.
Yes.
You get it. So we are looking at it side by side. I personally think that we can manage it to the point where probably we'll be done with our reforms before we deal with the court issues. Yes, it is possible. Yeah, it is possible. But once we dissolve the FA, it is likely will be halted midstream by FIFA.
That's you will get the ban.
Sure.
Yeah. So your prayer from the liaison committee point of view is that by the time you are done with the reform, there will be no need to dissolve.
No legal issues. Some take a year. So they should keep adjourning. Once we do our thing.
And from a journalist point of view, what I will say is that politically it is possible because the liaison team are also government people.
Sure.
Yes. Anyway, so your work is made easier. Let's go to some specific questions. The Diana Stars are in Africa, like we know. We've heard from Albert Comey, and he has enumerated the difficulties they have, even in terms of match fitness and all. But are you collaborating as a liaison team through the government to help in their campaign?
You know,
if so, how?
The statute of CAF stipulates that when you are participating in continental club competitions, you are supposed to pay for the inspection team and all that. Government swallowed that cost with respect to their home game against AS Vita. We accommodated the inspection team at Aliza. Government paid for it. Their return air ticket was paid by government. Internal transport was catered for by government as government's commitment towards their cause as Ghana's participant in Africa. So we're supporting. As we speak, we're still following up with CAF. CAF is supposed to give them over $100,000 at this stage of the competition
because of the fact that they've qualified to the money zone.
Exactly, the money is not forthcoming. Others have misinterpreted it to mean that it is because the FA's account has been frozen. No. That is not the case. CAF used to send the money to the federations, but there were some complaints by the various clubs in Africa, so that practice was ceased. Now they deal directly with the clubs. You send them your financial details and they put the money in your account. So we have followed up with the Diana. By the time we took over, we asked them and they said they have already furnished CAF with their details, but the money was not coming. So we reminded CAF with another letter. We're hoping that they'll get the money as soon as possible. To
help them facilitate. Exactly. But is the government, because this one, I'm asking you for you, Alhaji Jaola. You know, he has campaigned for years that African club competitions is something that the government of Ghana must actively involve themselves. This is the best chance for the government to push. Do you understand?
Well, the government, I don't see anything wrong with government supporting our clubs. But you know, government structure. Government wouldn't give you money meant for assignment A and use it for B. If the clubs want to be supported, they must be transparent with respect to the audited account and all that. Even at the time of Nyantechi, I remember that at an executive committee meeting, it was agreed that all the clubs should furnish the FA with the audited account. About 3 of them did. You can't practice your financial system this way and expect help from government. It is practical.
So it's predicated on good governance from the
at the club level.
Okay, that makes sense. Now we heard a couple of weeks ago that the salary of GFA officials and staff was going to be borne by government. Was that a proposal or it was something that they said they were going to do?
No, it was not a proposal from the staff. It was an initiative by government.
That's what. Was it a proposal from the government?
Yeah, sure. From government, yes.
And did the GFA staff agree?
Yeah, they did. Government is of the opinion that by no fault of theirs, some are at home and they've not been paid. So why don't we sustain them financially until we normalize things in our football? And that's how come government took those steps. Initially, there were rumors that some were not ready to take the money and all that. So we went back to them, and everybody was running away from the rumor that I didn't say so. I need money, blah blah. So eventually, the CID went to the office of the FA and see some computers and hard drives. So we had to liaise with the CID to release the hard drive that contains the salary list.
Yeah.
And then for the accountant to prepare. So it's been prepared. A memo has been placed on it and sent to the ministry. We're hoping that by close of week they will be paid.
So it means that the salaries of the GFA officials will now be borne by the Controller and Accountant General?
Until such a time that things normalize. Yeah.
Okay. What is the outcome of the meeting between the GFA and the normalization committee? Did you have a meeting first? The liaison team?
No, we did not. We haven't met the FA. We met GACA and the club owners.
Not the GFA.
Not the GFA.
Okay,
because legally,
exactly.
Exactly. We did not want to entangle ourselves in legalities. So.
In everything that is going on, do you have the support of the former football people, the bosses of the football association?
Oh, yes.
That is the EXCO.
Oh yes.
And if yes, to what extent?
I must say that PFAG have really thrown their weight behind.
No,
us.
Dan, I didn't ask you about PFAG.
You're talking about ESCO.
Ghana Football Association.
No. But ESCO is part of the FA that is in court. So
that's the point. They do not. They are legally, they are not an entity, but those people are the repository of knowledge in this country. You can't doubt that.
Yes.
They are the movers and shakers.
Yes.
They are the same people in GACA.
Yeah. No, they are not the same people.
Most of them.
Not most of them. Not most of them.
Dan. So, Wilfred Osei Palmer. People like Osei Palmer, Eddie Doku.
No, I'm saying not most of them because when you talk about, when we use this terminology of football people, people narrow it down to the Premiership. I don't think the football people in quote it represents only those running the Premier League. We have quote football Division 1, Division 2. In fact, in terms of numbers, they are even more.
Sure.
That's why I said exactly. That's why I said not most of them.
So the EXCO, you believe that the ESCO are happy with the way things are going?
They are not. Some of them have had the opportunity to make public statements. Yes. You could clearly see that they are not. But we are not bothered. We have been mandated to do a job, and that is what we're focusing at. They should look at the court issues. When they are done, we'll meet somewhere.
You meet somewhere. And finally, there are reports that we may go for the Cameroon angle. Cameroon have had a normalization committee for a couple of years. Explain to my listeners, what is a normalization committee? What do they do, and how do they handle football? And will we get there?
Okay. Yes, it is likely we'll get there. That is the normalization committee is usually what FIFA puts in place in situations where a certain football association is in chaos, or for some reasons a football association cannot function properly. That is the committee that FIFA normally puts in place. But because it takes a bit of time, that's how come they put in place the liaison team to ensure that we'll not lose participating in the upcoming tournament. Yes, so that was the first step. The next step, I'm sure, will be the normalization committee, and I wouldn't be surprised if by next month it is instituted.
So the normalization committee, will they work independently of everybody? Like
the liaison team is working.
So they will run Ghana football.
Sure, and do the reforms.
All right. So
yes,
if there's a Ghana Premier League, is these people who make sure that it's running?
Sure, if there is, but I doubt there will be, because we need to find a way of wrapping up this season, and then we start the reforms, and if possible, synchronize it with the European calendar. God willing, next year we take off. That's a personal opinion, though.
Okay. All right. Dan Kweku Yeboah, many thanks for your time. And we have a question here. I'm just seeing it on my console. Legally, the GFA is no longer an entity. It is, and it has assets and liabilities currently being managed by the registrar. It is only its activities that have been suspended. That's correct. Legally, it is no longer an entity, the GFA, but it has assets.
Yeah.
So who are running the assets of the GFA right now?
Well, I think the court asked the liquidator to take care of it. So
okay.
I'm sure it will be taken care of until things normalize.
All right. Yeah. So Dan Kweku Yeboah here as well, and
but one thing we must take note of is that FIFA is very much aware of the court proceedings. That's how come when Dr. Indum and other EXCO members decided to visit FIFA, and government informed FIFA that these people
are coming,
and we are in court with them, so they are not supposed to be joining with you. FIFA understood. They wrote back to them and said, we respect the laws of Ghana because you need to be a sovereign country to be part of FIFA.
Sure.
So we shouldn't also behave as if FIFA is not aware
Sure.
that these court proceedings are ongoing, because I've heard arguments that you want to dissolve the FA and at the same time you want to deal with the football people. I think FIFA respects the laws of this country and the monitoring situations very well. So I'm sure government and FIFA will come up with the best options for our football.
Right, 10 minutes is approaching 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and in our studios we've been discussing for a while, a lot of questions. I mean, just to run you through what we've done if you missed it, in just a minute to summarize, Dan Kweku Yeboah has spoken about the timeline of events since number 12 aired, and if you haven't been following it because of the World Cup and other, communities, the GFA, as you know, this procedure started from the Attorney General to liquidate and dissolve the Ghana Football Association, after which an interim management committee was formed, and then FIFA sent a delegation to Ghana to actually watch the announced video. We have confirmed that, and then they judged with the Ghana football, with the government. The suggestion from FIFA was to form a liaison team so that Ghana will not be banned from international competitions, because otherwise FIFA would have seen whatever was happening from the government as adverse, and ban Ghana. But now that we have a liaison team, that is why Dr. Kofi Amoah and Otia Kenting have been put in charge of that, and it is because of their work that our national teams can take part in the tournaments that they have qualified for. The national teams are the under 20 women, the under 17 men, the Black Queens as well, who are taking part in the hosting of the Women's AFCON, and then the under 20 men. So Dan Kweku Yeboah informs us that the liaison team met Galka stakeholders at Alisa Hotel. They looked at the way forward. They asked Galka to write their proposals to them as to how we should handle things like the Ghana Premier League Division 1, Division 2, and so on. In the meantime, though, Ghana's under 20 women need to play in the World Cup in France.
They'll be leaving within the week.
Yes, he says that. Dan Kweku Yeboah says that they've been in Pram. They're waiting for their visa so that they go to Spain for camping and then they go to France. Meanwhile, for the women's AFCON, which is supposed to be held in November. We are not, CAF is not very sure whether we can do it, so they have put South Africa on standby. Government has also paid for.
We are sure we can.
We are sure we can, hopefully. In respect of Aduana Stars, who are Ghana's representatives in Africa, government has paid for and swallowed the cost of the things that they will be needing, such as hosting the referees, the CAF inspectors, and so on and so forth. And government, the liaison team has also written to CAF to release the $100,000 due Aduana Stars, over $100,000, because they have qualified for the money zone. He also says that it is likely that Ghana will get what is called a normalization committee while we sort our issues out. So our 20-minute chat has been, that's the summary in just a minute. Dan, many thanks for your time.
Thanks. Let's pray that Ghana football gets better.
Let's pray that Ghana football gets better as well. Do you think writing letters to the club is not illegal? Because the clubs make the FA. So if the FA, you know what I mean?
Yes, I get it.
Yes, but GACA is part of the FA legally.
That is an extension of the argument. Legally, GACA is not GFA.
Okay.
Yeah, you can extend the argument out of court in an out of court setting, but within court, GACA is not GFA. Legally, the two entities are separate.
Yeah. That is why you are able to deal with GACA and not the GFA. All right. Thank you very much, Dan. Thanks. We appreciate your time. Fantastic stuff from Dan Kweku Yeboah. If you, like me, you've been doing World Cup commentary and you've not been really following what's going on, this is where Ghana football is on the Joy Sports track. We move on to arm wrestling.
Joy 99.7.
So from the extensive chat on football, we go to arm wrestling. Now, if you've been paying attention or you've been living in Accra and Kumasi, you probably have seen billboards for a sport like arm wrestling, which is not what they will call a mainline sport or a frontline sport. I mean, they had the African Championships at the weekend, and they've had heavy emphasis on heavy publicity as well. The president of the Ghana Arm Wrestling Federation is Charles Osei Esebe, and after a successful event this weekend, he spoke to us, Benedicto Usudankwa, about the latest in what's happening in the sport.
Organizers, we have done everything that we should be able to host Africa, so we are.
Okay. And how many countries are participating in the competition?
Well, currently 13 countries have submitted their list of players and officials, and we're expecting them in town from tomorrow. On Tuesday, the General Secretary for the World Arm Wrestling Federation will be in Ghana, and then beyond that, other officials will be coming. And then on Wednesday, we will have the Congress for Africa Arm Wrestling. We'll do the referee seminar. We'll do courtesy calls on the mayor of Accra, the minister, and all that. And then on Friday morning, we'll start with the left arm battles. Saturday, we'll finish with the right arm battles. And then we'll do other ceremonies, and we are done, Benedict.
This is big for us. This is the first time we are hosting the arm wrestling competition here in Ghana. What's at stake in terms of Team Ghana's participation?
Well, for us at the Federation, we took up this challenge because we wanted to take advantage of hosting to spread the news. We wanted to encourage participation. We wanted to encourage a lot of Ghanaians, to play arm wrestling. We also wanted to promote the sport of arm wrestling. So we just took advantage of the opportunity to host. Remember, we had to bid with Morocco, and we had support from our West African neighbors, and then we were able to win the bid. Now, if you ask me what we have been able to do within the last month, Benedict, truly, we have been able to promote the sport of arm wrestling with all the huge billboards in town, with all the massive radio and TV promo, with the newspaper adverts, stories on Twitter, newspapers, online. I think locally we have been able to push the sport. Beyond this, we want to encourage a lot of Ghanaians to play. You and I know that people do gym work for nothing. We want to encourage people to play arm wrestling. You don't have to be huge as a bodybuilder. Lightweights can even play arm wrestling. For some of us, we see sports as business. We see sports as employment. It creates employment. If you go to America, Benedict, I often say that a lot of the youth, after completing high school or college, they don't put pressure on the system because they either play tennis, track and field, basketball, or something else. Why can't we turn sports into a viable stuff in this country? That is what we want to encourage. But we are happy with what we have done for arm wrestling. It's just unfortunate we haven't received that kind of support, we were wishing to get. But we believe that with what we have been able to do, tomorrow if we go to corporate Ghana, we'll get that kind of support we need.
Let me understand the dynamics here in the arm wrestling competition. So for the 13 countries that are participating, how many players are each presenting?
There are 11 weight categories in the men division, and there are 9 weight categories in the women division. We also have the para, and then even the para, the classifications are 2. Now, as we speak, Cameroon presented a contingent of 13, Mali did 11, Egypt did 10, Madagascar did 4. So it depends on the number of players you can enter. But Team Ghana, the Golden Arms, we are entering 50 players. We want to host and win.
Wow, 50 players. And have you already selected the players?
Yes, we have done that, and already they were running some non-residential camping. The northern guys were training in Kumasi, and the southern guys were training at the Accra Sports Stadium. As I speak with you, about 3 hours ago, they all converged at the residential camping base. So in about an hour, the vice president of the federation and other board members will officially go in there to welcome them. So Team Ghana, we have moved into a residential camp awaiting our visitors.
Okay.
So like I said, we will host and win.
All right, so on the 26th, if someone wants to come to the Accra Sports Stadium to watch, is the person supposed to pay?
No. Initially, there were discussions to get people to pay. But Benedict, we want people to love the sport because people have not seen it. Because people, have forgotten what arm wrestling is about. We want people to come and watch it for free. Once they come and they see what arm wrestling is about, they will begin to love it the more. When I see kids doing arm battles, I get excited. When I see young ladies doing arm battles, I get excited. And I feel that on Friday and Saturday, Wednesday it's everything technical. But on Friday and Saturday, Ghana will see the sport of arm wrestling and Ghana will be excited. We're trying to put it live on TV.
So Charles Osei-Sibe is the president of the Ghana Arm Wrestling Federation, bringing to an end the Joy Sports track for today. Many thanks for your time, and we can continue the discussion offline on @JoySportsGH. However, the Joy Sports Invitational, which is Joy Sports' flagship event for the year, is upon us. This year's edition will be coming to us very soon. It's on September the 1st, and we know that we did say that it was going to be on the 28th of July. However, it was shifted to September the 1st due to an abrupt closure of the initial venue, that's the Elwak Stadium, for the renovation of the Women's African Cup of Nations. So the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament is now happening on September the 1st. Further details will be furnished to you in due course. Many thanks for listening to the Joy Sports track. I am Gary L. Smith. Enjoy the rest of your day.